Hi, welcome to Tech Talks, the People and Planet podcast. Today, I'm joined by Kevin Davies, the COO of Bike Club. Hi, Kevin. How's it going?
Hi, Lee. Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. Enjoying the nice weather today.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to learning more about this because it's a very, very cool concept. And when we were speaking previously, I was sharing with you that I've got a little boy. He's just about to start going into that kind of riding bike stages. So this is all about bike rental for kids in a sustainable way, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more and wrap it a little bit for us. What's the problem that you solve with the company mission? And
yeah, sure. Yeah, so we're really solving two problems at the same time. The first one is about reducing waste in children's early lives by providing them with the right bike at the right time, and then recycling the bikes that they've grown out of. And then secondly, it's about getting more kids cycling sooner by removing the hurdle of like large capex spend on a bike and replacing it with a relatively affordable subscription service. And the idea actually kind of came around because James, the founder, wanted to start a subscription bike service for high-end road bikes. So think kind of a car club for bikes. But then James has got 3 kids. He was trying to source a bike for one of them, wanted a high quality bike, and realized that there was a huge opportunity to take the waste out of the kids' bike market with a subscription product. And that's how Bike Club was born.
And so tell us a little bit more about the waste issue here, because that's the big thing. And I know that you guys are a certified B Corp, which kind of, put your stake in the sand for sustainability. Do you have some sort of figures on how much wastage there is in this industry? I'm sure it's huge.
Well, if I actually don't off the top of my head.
But it's going to be big though, right?
Yeah, I mean the kids bike market is, I think, something like 700,000 kids bikes get sold a year in the UK. Might need to fact check that, but it's around that number. And if you imagine at the smallest size, so balance bike, it's quite likely that is only going to be with a child for 6 months before they graduate to pedals. And yeah, some of those bikes are going to be, handed down to other people, but maybe, if you didn't buy a particularly high quality bike, it's probably not going to go the distance. And what you see a lot is, parents are faced with this challenge of wanting to get their kids on a bike, but the options that are open to them, which are affordable, are often, buying something that's kind of from the middle aisle in Lidl or from Asda, or it's, secondhand from a car boot sale kind of thing, or Craigslist or whatever, or Gumtree, or it's it's a hand-me-down. And all of those 3 options, they might only have the life left in them of one more ride. It lasts that child for 6 months, and then it goes on the waste heap somewhere, or goes into landfill.
That's it. And I suppose even if there is like a hand-me-down opportunity, there's safety issues there potentially and all that sort of stuff as well. So I think this is a really, really good concept, like I say. How does the product itself work then?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple actually in its execution. You sign up for Bike Club, you go through some fraud checks, as you would with any leasing product, and then you pick the bike for your child based on their inside leg measurement. And then we send you the bike, and we cover everything from pre-first pedal, so balance bikes, right up to junior mountain bike, which is a 26-inch wheel. I mean, it's basically almost a full-size adult mountain bike. And we send you the product, comes in the post. If it's one of the big bikes, it might be delivered by a courier, 1.5 man service, for example. And then when your child's grown out of the bike, you contact our customer support team, you let them know the bike that you'd like to exchange it for. Someone comes and picks up the bike, drops off the new one, and takes the old bike away. And then that bike gets refurbished by our team of mechanics, and then it goes out to another person.
So this is a subscription service as well, isn't it? So you would pay monthly?
Yeah, exactly. So it's monthly subscription. The balance bikes start around $7.99, but of course we also have new member discounts occasionally and various referral discounts and things. But let's say list price $7.99, and they got up to somewhere in the region of 15 to 20 if you're talking about a junior mountain bike.
So you're talking a couple of coffees worth.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really what we're competing with. It's like, could you go without 2 coffees to get your kid on a bike sooner? And we think that, yeah, most people can.
Absolutely. And especially with, everything that's going on in terms of video games and all of these things that try and keep kids away from health benefits of exercise. This is really kind of knocking down any barriers to it, really, if you're thinking about it in that sense. Plus, there's the whole circular economy thing as well, there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, overall, about 60% of the bikes that we send out are recycled. Because we're growing, we are filtering new bikes into the fleet as well to support the growth. But of course, once somebody's ridden one of those and we take them back, they then get refurbished and they go out again. So the pool of bikes we have on the road is growing, but increasing chunk of those is bikes that have been refurbished.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you're international. You've got presence in Spain, Germany. I know you've just been, or you're going to Berlin recently, and Netherlands as well, which is obviously huge for cycling. What's the go-to-market strategy? You're going into a new country. How does that work? What's the next steps?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, there's some key kind of aspects of the playbook, particularly around understanding the regulatory requirements in that market. So both from having an operating business in the market, of course, but then also things like if you're in Europe, there's a requirement for reflectors on the bikes, whereas actually in the UK, the requirement around reflectors is quite light, whereas in Europe, it's quite specific and you need to have a lot of reflectors on the bike. Of course, there's considerations like which way around the brakes need to go, because the UK, the rear brake is on the left and everywhere else the rear brake is on the right. So there's a few kind of nuts and bolts things that you need to understand before you enter the market. And then the first thing we do is we'll typically go out and hire a country manager, and this is usually someone based in the market, a lot of experience, cycling background often, and they're the person who's going to be on the ground kind of building the market, and they normally have a lot of detailed market knowledge already. So if you think about the Netherlands, the way that people own, consume, reuse bikes in the Netherlands is completely different to, say, a country like the UK or even Germany. So in the Netherlands, they really use a bike like a tool. They use them every day, no matter the weather. Everybody cycles. Most Dutch people, I think the average number of bikes owned by a Dutch person is like 2 point something. Like everyone's got a ton of bikes. The type of bike is completely different because it's this kind of all weather, you go to school, go to work, go to shops, take your kids to nursery, all on the bike. The bikes are much more, people use these kind of city style bikes, the kind of sit as we would call like a sit up and beg style bike. And those kind of market dynamics are the kinds of things that the country managers would know like off the top of their head because they're native to the market, they know it well. So we hire those people. They're responsible for working with the merchandising team on picking the assortment because we don't have the same bikes in every market. We have a kind of core range, and we actually have our own brand as well called Form. But we basically choose, an assortment that's going to fit the tastes of the market. And then finally, when everything else is in place, that's when we'll actually set up operations, and we make a few decisions about whether we want to do refurbishment in market. Sometimes we'll do like a kind of hub and spoke model. Germany has a refurbishment center there, and so we'll be using that to supply the Netherlands rather than hiring a whole team and needing to build out a kind of a warehouse setup and everything.
Really interesting, and I believe there's been a little bit of a kind of internal transformation at a high level here in the UK as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely trying to really professionalize the UK business at the moment, and that's one of the reasons that I was brought on, and trying to get a better handle on our processes, capturing more data around the workshop, more data around the supply chain, and be able to kind of optimize those processes for efficiency and scale.
Interesting. So what's your background then? How have you landed at Bike Club? Because you've not been in the company too long, I don't think, have you?
That's right. Yeah, I joined in at the end of November. And yeah, my background, I'd taken a bit of a squiggly route to get here, but I started my career as an engineering graduate. I had no idea kind of what I wanted to do. All my mates were going and working for consultancies and banks, so I went and did the same. Lasted about 2 years, and then I really wanted to be involved in building businesses rather than advising them. And I began my startup journey. It's about 14 or 15 years ago now, at One Fine Stay, which then was kind of darling of the London tech scene. Airbnb was literally just kind of launching in London, and One Fine Stay was a serious competitor at the higher end of the market. And then over the subsequent 14 years, I worked in a bunch of different industries, always in kind of operational leadership roles. I did everything from, so started in hospitality, then real estate, Internet of Things, and then kind of ended up in e-commerce. And that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. And I worked at a marketplace called Fi, and then later went to work at Wayfair. And around the time that I was at Fi, towards the end of my time there, I'd started thinking about, I'd really like to do something that's kind of good for the planet. And it wasn't really obvious kind of what to do. I found that jobs fell into 2 buckets. One of them was kind of very theoretical and was about carbon offset and carbon credits, and really just went straight over my head, to be honest. And then the other side was around renewables, and that was something where it seemed like you needed quite a lot of experience to be able to do it. So I went to work at Wayfair, and while I was there, the problem became really acute for me. Greatest respect to Wayfair. I had a great time while I was there. But while I was working there, I felt like, wow, shipping all these like very low cost, low quality, not all low quality, Wayfair has really good quality stuff as well, but we were shipping a lot of kind of cheaper products from the Far East to the UK, and then people were putting them in their homes and probably only using them for a couple of years before they threw them out, and also having a very, very high return rate. And I just thought, wow, I need to find something where we're actually reusing these products, and not just kind of consigning them to landfill. So I got made redundant with the layoffs at Wayfair in 2022. There was a huge amount of layoffs at Wayfair, and actually it was great because it gave me a chance to have a think about what I wanted to do next. And when I came across Bike Club, it ticked the box of a business that was doing good. It also drew on my my manufacturing background and my supply chain background, from the e-commerce experience, and then education level as well. And that was it. It seemed like a perfect fit. And here we are, basically.
Absolutely. And your role involves a bit of travel. I believe that you've lived and worked in a couple of different countries as well.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've been very lucky in that I've had the pleasure of working in New York for a couple of years, and then I was in Berlin for 5 years as well. And now coming back to London after 8 years away, it feels like kind of starting fresh in London, which has been really fun.
Yeah, definitely. What comes next for Bike Club then? There's a lot going on. Anything that you can share with the listeners?
Yeah, so we're actually just hoping to launch some new above the line advertising soon. I can't say too much, but it means that you can keep an eye out, and you might see Bike Club in a few places you haven't seen us before, if you know what I mean. So that's exciting. And then Yeah, we're doing a lot of this kind of internal professionalization work at the moment. So not super sexy, but very critical kind of systems building, making sure that our data and operations are watertight. And that's really kind of what I spend most of my time doing.
So kind of behind the scenes, solidifying
Exactly.
this, making sure everything's watertight. And it's funny what you say about advertising. Obviously, with having a little boy, kind of have a circle of friends that have got kids of a reasonably similar age. And it's funny, a number of those people are actually members of Bike Club. Oh, and I was mentioning the podcast and you and everything like that.
Fantastic.
We've got this company, Bike Club, coming up. Oh, Bike Club, yeah, we subscribe to that. And, having a very, very good service out of it. So, as I say, Tommy's coming up 18 months, so he's just about to go on to one of his, what's the lowest level called?
Balance bike.
Balance bike. Yeah. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah, great. Please do. Yeah, I mean, the world's changed a lot since, when I was a child, you learn on a bike with stabilizers.
Yeah.
And now the sort of received wisdom is that actually kids learn much faster on a balance bike because they get the sort of balance part of cycling much more quickly, and you can graduate them straight to a pedal bike with no stabilizers if you want.
Sure. Yeah, all good. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. It's been really interesting.
Great, thanks for having me, Lee.
As well. Guys, this is Kevin Davies, COO of Bike Club. Thanks again.
Thanks very much.